Welcome to Mercy's Designs. My name is Mercy and I demonstrate Stampin' Up! Products. Today I would like to show you how I made this really cute, easy side step card. So I was inspired by Julie Davison, and it is, I think, really a fun way to do a fancy fold without having to do extra special cutting, which you normally have to do with the side step card. So I would like to show you how I made the base of this card, the main part, and then we'll do a little stamping. So to get started, you will need your paper trimmer. And I did want to show I made some templates here. So I have this as the main base, then this is the side step, and then I also add an optional easel base just so the card doesn't collapse. And then the other thing I wanted to show was how I cut the paper and cut it out so I had the least amount of waste when I made a bunch of these. So this fits here, and then this is pretty much a half a sheet minus a half an inch here, because this is 8 inches, 5.5 by 8 inches. So not a lot of waste, and the easel would be along here. Okay, so I'll bring in my, I'm bringing in my trimmer, and we'll be doing a little scoring. So to start with, I'm going to bring in my large piece, which this measures 8 inches by the 5.5. So the first score we're going to do is at 3 inches. So I'm just lining it up at 3 inches over here. So there. Then I'm going to move it down to 6 inches. And finally 7 inches. So that is for this. Well, I'm going to temporarily set this aside and bring in the side step. Now for the side step, we're going to start, we're only going to do one score, and that is at 4 1/4. So I'm just bringing this in here. Okay, and I did go ahead with the small easel, and I did score that. So all you're doing here is a 1/2 inch, then 3 3/4, I believe. Yes, 1 3/4, I'm sorry. So 1 3/4 I scored there, and then finally at 3 inches, and then I added some tear and tape. So because that's optional, I'm not going to focus too much on that part. And now we can get going on, I'll burnish this and add some of our DSP, and we will do a little stamping. Now I did for this card, which I thought was really cool, did the embossing, and I used, so I'm not really paying close attention to what I'm doing here, which is probably not a good idea. Yeah, so, all right, so for this one, if you look at my diagram here, or my template, you can see that it is valley. Okay, if I do it this way, it's correct. Valley, mountain, valley. But if you mix anything up, it doesn't hurt to have it. So this is what the base will look like. And as you can see, it does tend to collapse, which is why I added that optional easel to the center. Okay, so for this one, we're just going to score it, burnish it, and now add some tear and tape. So I have my tear and tape here, and what I will do is just add both pieces right away. You could do this with glue, but this is a little less messy and less confusing actually. So I'm just going to add here and here, and this will be ready to go. But before we add this, we need to add our DSP. So this is from the beautiful Sun Prints, I believe. Pretty Prints. I get those mixed up. They're very similar looking, but different colors. Okay, Pretty Prints. And what we'll want is this piece here and this piece here. So if you know, just do it whatever way you want. I'm just going to put it flat, but you're skipping this part, and we're not doing the back yet. So just use your liquid adhesive. least that's what I like doing because I have that little bit of wiggle room. And attach it to the front like that. And then add this back here. So it's a good idea to have this non-directional, but it doesn't matter too much, I suppose. This one, it could be, it looks a little odd, I see that, but I don't care too much. This one makes more sense. All right, so now that we've done that, we can go ahead and add our side step. So now it looks like this. So again, it does collapse. So you have this longer side in here. This is a 6-inch piece by 3 3/8 wide. Now, the original instructions had it, I think it was like 3 or 3 1/4, but I added it to accommodate the, the scalloped piece here. So that is the reason for that. Okay, so the first piece, I'm going to just take off the tear and tape here. And there isn't anything too tricky about this other than you want to get it all the way down here. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a border on the left side, just a teeny bit. So I'm just making sure this is flush. Now for this part, okay, for a second I thought I got something wrong. All I'm going to do is now condense that. If you have trouble getting this off, make sure it's pushed down enough. And now, so I just want to make sure you can see this clearly. You have this piece and this is higher. All I'm going to do is simply push it down like that. And that is done. So as you can see, it does tend to collapse. So to help with that issue, I have this little easel that I made. So these easels, all you want is what you need to remember is when you're applying it, this will go up into the card. So all I'm going to do here is center this and making sure I don't get it too close to the bottom because we don't want the card to rest on this. It can actually be up just a tad, and I'm centering it in the card. So like that. And then I'm taking off this backing and I'm just going to put this card flush like that. And now it will not collapse. Isn't that cool? Super easy and a great solution for a side step card. All right, so let's continue with some stamping. So this next part, I'm going to speed up. I'm going to be using my Stamparatus, but I will not do the embossing portion of the stamping just in the interest of time. So sit back and let's get started. Okay, so I think I got it to the point where we'll just finish up the card together. One of the things you will want to do is with your blends, which I did have one ready here. I used Sweet Sorbet and Soft Succulent colored the flowers, if you wish, and this is the result. So let's get started with finishing up this card. You will want to bring your base back in at this point, and we're going to just attach this here. So I'm going to use my liquid glue, and you could do this before adding the easel, but it's not too hard. As you notice, I did trim this die cut down, this scalloped die cut, and I took off the bottom and I colored with some soft seafoam under here, just so that it doesn't look like it's floating. I also pre-stamped with the soft succulent, so I knew where to place the the fussy cutout Sweet Sorbet vase. So it's stamped behind here, but I just think it helps you line it up better. I love using the Stamparatus so you get perfect placement. Okay, so here we have our little happy birthday. And one of the things you do have to worry about with this is you do not want it to get in the way of laying flat. So what I mean by that is you don't want it tucked under here visually, but also you don't want to, when you're mailing it, to kind of, I don't know, get in the way there. So I just make sure by laying it flat. Oh, I think I want that a little bit lower. Just a teeny bit, yeah. And you also don't want this to touch it too. So just watch out for those two things. It's pretty easy though. And then when it's sitting up, it's just kind of a step back. So very cool. All right, so now for the back. You know, it's not over with just the front. So I have a piece of DSP here, not DSP, can't think. A plain white, basic white paper, and this will just go over this and cover the seam right here. So I'll quickly add that. And, oh, I almost forgot. I cannot believe I almost forgot this. I felt like I was missing something. So on the front, we have this piece right here. I thought something was missing right here. And this is going to be added here. You could actually do without it, but it really adds it. And I thought this sentiment was pretty cute. Let's get into the spirit. But as you can see, it's gonna look weird like that. It's gonna look weird like that. So all you have to do is cut it apart. So super, super easy. So I chose to cut there. So the spirit is right here. Now I do suggest at this point you add a dimensional to just the spirit part, so that it is not going to go off. I mean, this part you can't have a dimensional because this is already popped up. So you have to step it down. You don't want it, you want it supported. Okay, I hope I'm making a few little mistakes here, so bear with me. But you can see, ooh, we got a little bit of seepage. See this? Why less is more with the glue. Well, I might have to take my rubber eraser. And then for this one, I did not pop it up, but I do suggest being more cautious with the amount of glue you use than what I did. Okay, just dot it. And I added it over on the left side, and I covered some of the flowers. So I just lined it up with these dots, kind of. So, and then of course, wiggle it into the correct spot. So just below this big flower, or even on it a little bit. So just a teeny bit on it. But, so it's over a little bit of the flowers. Yes, now nothing is missing. All right, let's go back to the back. So as you saw, I did trim this down, and that's so it fits onto here properly. And I could measure that. Okay, what was that? About 3 inches. So that is trimmed down. And these labels are from the Stylish Shapes as well as the circle on the front. They're really brand new and really great set to have. And I thought this fit perfectly up here. So you can see, now all the dimensions, the instructions, everything I will have in the description below. But you can see I typed up here, and I noticed a couple mistakes here, but I'll fix that before posting it. So the final thing is to add the bottle. Now, I don't like to do it straight, so I suggest having a little bit offset. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect, but straight just kind of looks a little boring. And plus, you know, the implication here is you're not completely sober, I guess. So having it a little crooked is kind of more humorous, I think. So that's the final little touch. And then you can write your note here, your birthday note. So I think that's really fitting. Overflowing with happiness. You have the cork here, super cute. And this is just a fun, easy sidestep card. I just really have enjoyed this. I hope you did too. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Touch the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. And if you have any questions or want to place an order with me, please email me at mewants3@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to help you place an order with the host code. Okay, so here are both of the cards. So one you can see how it just will stand because of that easel here, and it's super easy to make an easel. Otherwise it just tends to collapse on itself. So thanks again for watching, and happy stamping.